1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, Pastor Brian Wolfmueller, grappling with the text, the Ten Commandments. Today, we're going to talk about the ordering of the commandments. This is a boring one if you want to skip it, but everyone loves to talk about this. Why do all the different churches have different orders for the Ten Commandments? Here's a good page. Now, here's the basic thing. When we read through the Exodus chapter 20, we see that the Lord gives us a lot of different things. We'll just take a look. So, for example, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is heaven or above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, and so forth. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. Honor your father and your mother. And then here's the list that gets shorter. You shall not murder. You shall not steal. Oh, you guys can't even see that. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his manservant or maidservant, ox or donkey, or so forth. Now, here's what the Lord says, and we want to have all of these words, but let's just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It doesn't add up. You can't get to 10. So the question is, why don't we have the 11 commandments? Well, here's your homework. If you look in Exodus chapter 34, verse 28, or Deuteronomy 10, verse 4, you'll see that the Lord talks about the 10 words. And so we know we have to get from these 13 or 11 or however many things that we have here, we got to make a list of 10, and the Lord hasn't told us how to do it. So different churches have come up with different solutions to this problem, and we're going to compare them now. So we're going to summarize this so we've got some room. Here are the different parts. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You shall have no other gods. This is our summary of the commandments. You shouldn't make idols. And if you do, I'll be angry because I'm a jealous God. Don't misuse my name. Remember the Sabbath. Honor your parents. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not give false testimony. Don't covet your neighbor's house. And don't covet your neighbor's wife, workers, and so forth. Now, that's the order of all of the things that the Lord has given to us in the commandments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 things. And we're going to somehow have to put them in a list. Now, there are basically 4 different ways of doing this. You have the Jewish numbering of the commandments. You have the Reformed, and this is going to be what you're going to see when you go to get your the confirmation kid plaque of the 10 Commandments to put on the wall, what you're going to see in the Bible bookstore. And also the Orthodox, the Greek church, has this same numbering as the Reformed, which is slightly ironic. Maybe we'll talk about why that is ironic there. You have the Lutheran view, and you have the Catholic. Now, the Lutheran and the Catholic are very, very close to one another. Now, how do these things all sort of pan out? Let's see if I can make this look semi-nice. Arts and crafts with the 10 Commandments. Bible class really loved this chart this morning, and I told them it's because there's something wrong with them. They just love charts. Now, the uniqueness of the Jewish perspective is this. They take this first thing, I am the Lord your God who brought you up out of the land of Egypt, and they make that into the first commandment, while as all of the others speak of it as the introduction. So if you go to the synagogue, you'll see that this is considered the first commandment that's there, whereas all of the Christian churches take this declarative statement, which is quite beautiful, as the introduction. You shall have no other gods, and you shall make no idols. Our friends in the synagogue make that into the second commandment. Okay? Those two are combined into one. I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. Now, no one is going to have this as an actual commandment. We call it the close of the commandments, even though it's not at the close of the commandments. But it's an important part of the structure of the commandments, so we're going to note it here. Do not misuse my name. The synagogue has as the third commandment. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. That's going to come across as the fourth commandment. Honor your father and your mother. That will be in the synagogue the fifth commandment. Do not murder. That's number 6. Do not commit adultery. That's number 7. Do not steal. Number 8. Until you get to the bottom. Let's see. Do not give false testimony. Number 9. Oh, my chart's getting mixed up here. You guys really messed me up. And then do not covet your neighbor's house, workers, or anything else that is your neighbor's. Those two are going to be combined also into number 10. Okay, got it? That, again, is the traditional Jewish numbering of the commandments. Now, the Reformed are reacting against the Western tradition. The Orthodox have their own, but they're reacting against this. And this is the chief way that they're going to do that. They're going to divide this first section into 2 commandments. So, have no other gods, first commandment. You shall make no idols, second commandment. And in fact, it was the accusation of the Reformed against the Catholic and the Lutherans that we removed the second commandment in order to keep our images and all of that sort of stuff. Of course, I'll talk about why we didn't do that. In fact, we include the prohibition of idolatry in the first commandment, and it shows that there's 2 ways to, in fact, commit idolatry. You can worship false gods, or you can worship the true God in a false way. And both are part of the first commandment. Anyway, the Reformed continue down along the same lines as the synagogue, the third and the fourth, and this is why you see whenever you go to the Bible bookstore, the misnumbering. Murder is number 6 for them. Here's where I messed up. No wonder my chart was getting off. Adultery is number 7. Theft is number 8. False testimony is number 9. And coveting, these 2 also are combined into number 10. Now, the Lutherans were the inheritors of the Latin numbering, although they made a slight adjustment, and we'll show you that now. I am the Lord your God is understood as the introduction. The command to have no other gods and false worship is combined together. The Lord's name is number 2. The Sabbath is number 3. Honor father and mother is number 4. You shall not murder is 5. You shall not commit adultery is 6. You shall not steal is 7. You shall not give false testimony is 8. And then down here, the Lutherans will split these into 2. So you shall not covet your neighbor's house is number 9. And you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. His manservant, maidservant, ox, donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor is number 10. Okay? Now, for the Catholics, we're going to make this slight addition and say that this is the ordering that we have in Exodus chapter 20. But in Deuteronomy, when the Lord gives the number of the commandments, it's flipped around. House and wife are switched. So it says, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, manservant, maidservant, ox, donkey, etc. So in the Catholic numbers, we're going to see that they're exactly the same until we get to the very end. And then the 9th commandment is you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. And the 10th commandment is you shall not covet your neighbor's house, manservant, maidservant, or anything else that is your donkey. So that the Catholic Church, it makes this kind of nice thing that the 9th commandment is an extension of the 7th. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. And the 10th commandment is an expansion of the 7th. You shall not steal. You shouldn't even want the things that belong to your neighbor. Now, the Lutheran Church would say that the difference here is the 10th commandment is the list of things with legs. So here we're especially working with the idea of enticement. We're not drawing away those things of our neighbor which can come on their own. So this is the different way that the different churches number the commandments. Now, which one is right? we can't say that there's a right or a wrong because the numbering of the commandments and the listing of the commandments is distinct. They're apart from each other, so we know that they're 10, and we know what they all are. And in fact, probably when the Lord switches these around in Exodus and Deuteronomy, he's giving us a hint that the ordering doesn't in fact matter that much. But for the Lutherans, especially for Luther, this is the key. When you read how the Lord is a jealous God and punishing the sins of the fathers on the second and third generation of those who hate me, but rewarding them, Luther sees this as a logical break, and it separates everything above it from everything below it. And we know that the first commandment is the chief commandment. It's the crown of the commandments. And so really this numbering system is going to be based on this, standing here between the first commandment and the rest. So there's a little summary of the numbering of the commandments. I hope you've enjoyed this. I told you that, Bible class loved it, and I told them that that meant that there was something wrong with them, that they love lists so much. But now you've got it in one spot, so you can send your friends to this video when they ask you the question as well. All right, I got to plug this Issues Etc. conference. Here it is, fellas. Look, the premier conference for the Lutheran laity, June 10th, Collinsville, Illinois. You guys should all come. Look at Rast is going to be there. Adrian's going to be there. All these guys. It'll be great.
Worldview Everlasting is solid, Christian, and free because it is viewer supported. Your monthly gift of $5, $10, or $25 is the reason that we can continue to improve and expand these tools for online Christian outreach and discipleship. To make a one-time donation, sign up for the Lutheran Ninja Clan regular giving, or to find information about how to put Worldview Everlasting in your congregation's budget, click Donate Now.